everybody. We're here on this spring break week. It's Sandra Sheffer.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Racing the races. So my co-host is on spring break vacation, chilling with her family. I'm here, not on spring break, still kind of working. My daughter's home, and my son is, gallivanting through Europe right now as part of his spring break trip. He's in Paris. He was in Paris today. I think they head out to Belgium or something. In a couple of days. But yeah, so he's having fun, and my daughter and I we're here, and I'm working, holding down the fort. So have fun, co-hosts, as vacation and enjoy the time with your family. So guess who's back with us today? Guess who's back? I'm Sandra Sheffer, one of the co-hosts of Racing Races. Guess who's back with us today?
Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones. She was a candidate for North Lauderdale Commission. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's always good. Like, we try to get candidates to come back. Like, we talk to them before they run their races. And sometimes we can get them to come back after, but not as often. But Michelle's race is a very interesting one, because I'm telling you, her person won her seat, that won their seat with I'm gonna just say I got more Facebook friends than that, right? And I think that's an important conversation to have, is that we have people that can get elected, become elected officials. I mean, if that's how you win, that's how you win. But that's definitely a conversation that we shouldn't ignore, because we want to, you have people that are having positions of power, and they're winning with with small numbers, right? And that's important. And then if you see the title of the show, it was only 7% voter turnout in Broward County. That is definitely something that we need to talk about. So I'm invite the supervisor of the election to come on to the show to talk to us, to figure out what it is that can be done about that. Because 7% voter turnout, even though it's an odd year, is low by any, to me, that's just low. It doesn't make sense to me. And we have a very important, significant election that's coming up in 24, and we really need to get people on board to vote. So we need to start dealing with voter turnout right now, instead of waiting until November of next year to, or August of next year to deal with that. So go ahead, former candidate for North Lauderdale Commission, Michelle Jones. Tell us what your experience was, and what's your thoughts on someone winning the seat with,
that number. For me, I was very, very embarrassed. Honestly, I was so embarrassed. I wasn't just, I was hurt, and I was embarrassed because, number one, I was hurt because knocking doors, I saw that the people have completely lost faith. And not only that, but it kind of puzzled me when they all said that, oh, well, the mayor and his wife came out with the lady that you ran against, and they all had a signed petition last year. So I was like trying to figure out what petition that was. So I called the city and I asked them about that, and they were like, well, that petition doesn't work because we're now going into and a special election. So I was trying to figure out what was that about, So then she goes, and we all ordered, most of us ordered, they have us all ordered ballots, mailing ballots. And so they had a mailing ballot party, I guess. And they've been doing this for a couple of years. I thought this was like illegal. So I called the supervisor office of election and spoke to someone there and asked them about this, because I want to really know if this could be done. But from what I heard, this is what the candidates do. They go around and they get people to do mailing ballot. That's why her ballot was 64%. But I figure, and then
wait, you said something about they had a mail-in ballot party. Can you do that? Like that?
I just say I said they had a get together. And, I honestly don't, when I called the supervisor of election office and they told me that anybody can tell people to, order their ballot, go out and vote. If you don't want to go, order your ballot. Anybody can call them and says, hey, don't forget to send in your ballot. Don't forget to vote with your ballot. So it's a way to control your voters. Honestly, I saw that. So I'm happy that I learned, to tell you the truth, I learned more from this small election than I did the big one in 2020. Honestly, I think it's because it was 7 weeks I had. I had 7 weeks for the campaign, 7 weeks to do everything. And so to be out there in 7 weeks was kind of, like boom, 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 boom. You have to be going.
Yeah.
And I think I can just see that my candidate was real relaxed, I guess, because they've been out there for 2 years. But what
2 years and they only got 239 votes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
What are you doing? I mean, I guess I mean their job is to win, and they won, so I guess they did their job. But something needs to be said, and we have to figure out what that is. And again, I'm not an election strategist or anything like that. I just try to put the information out there, and hopefully some people could tell us what to do, what not to do, or someone could come on that's more knowledgeable and talk to us about this. I mean, but if you're 2 years and 239 people come out,
what I can understand,
I don't understand.
You know what I think? I think it is the participating with the community. I don't think the mayor participate with the community. I don't think that any of them. I don't think that the people that are in this city participate with the people here. So I think that's one of the main reasons why the vote was so low, is because regardless to what we went out there to do, it did not happen. It did not happen. So for me, even I was kind of disturbed by it, because people spoke about it. People like, you know what? We always put them in. Michelle, I'm telling you, you seem like a passionate person, but as soon as you guys go in, then you don't remember. I said, but you're going to keep saying that. You and I know that they're telling the truth. It's not so. It is the truth, because you can look in our city here in the city of North Lauderdale, and almost 75% or more do not know who their commissioner was, and still don't know who their commissioner is, and still don't know who their mayor.
There are a lot of people who didn't realize that March 14th was an election day. That's another thing too, right? So who do we put that on? The fact that people in the county don't, the whole county didn't need to know. What was more important, I mean, it would be great if the entire county knows, but you at least wanted the people who lived in those 6 cities to know that there was an election on March the 14th. And I have to tell you that I personally know some folks who were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna vote today. And I'm like, but it's Wednesday. The election was yesterday. They was like, what? I didn't know. So the ones who found out about it from some Facebook post I made, but they got it a day late, you know, and then other people didn't know at all. People still don't know, right? They didn't even know that our mayor was running for his seat all over again, right? And that responsibility has to be on a whole bunch of folks, and we need to figure out who those individuals are, and you know, have them do the assignment. You know, they need to understand the assignment and get it done. We cannot win anything of significance with 7% of the people coming out to vote.
Oh, I definitely understand that, but this is what also was kind of like puzzling to me, is that after a while, I found out that I was not running a campaign against the lady that won. I was running a campaign against the mayor and his wife, which was kind of puzzling to me. But I guess they want who they want there for their votes. And so it was very, very like, okay, Michelle, you are no longer running against this, because you barely saw her. It was just pretty much the mayor and his wife that you saw that was running the campaign. A lot of people didn't even know who she is. A lot of people still don't know who she is, except her neighborhood. And a lot of people in her neighborhood, which she thought was going to come out and vote, did not vote. It was the 65% vote from the Haitian Community Church. And I think that if you check, you will see that is the majority of the people that voted was from that. And I think that's all.
But that's an important thing for people to know. So if you're trying to run for office or have any seat, you got to get connected with the faith-based community. So if those votes came from the faith-based community, that's
I don't know if it came from the population. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it came from the faith-based community, but I do know that one of the voters from the church did say, because I was calling the city office asking all these questions, because it was all to me like, what? I didn't know they can do this. Really? So it is. And I went to the church, the church base. I had 7 weeks, girl. I had 7 weeks, so I was focused on the community. That was my thing. It's just to focus on the community, focus on the community. I had 7 weeks to get to know all these people in this district. And so that was my main goal. And for me, it was like, I'm not one of the things that I realized that psychology wise, you and I both know, is that people would use, oh, she's mad because she lost, and that's coming from a bitter place and all that. I promise you, anything I go through in life is for learning, because you cannot have experience in life if you don't go through things. And one of my neighbor came over to me yesterday and she said, I so appreciate you trying to fight for us. I appreciate what you, and it felt good to know that somebody appreciated. And even in my neighborhood right there, I have over 300 and something people here, and the majority of them were registered voters. But, you know, they were like, we don't know who they are. We don't, you know, we are going to come out and vote. And they all never came out and vote.
Yeah, and so Miss Jen in the chat, she's watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and get your friends to subscribe to the channel. We truly appreciate that. She said people have certainly lost confidence in their representatives. While you were canvassing, is that something that you heard? The people say that they're losing confidence in the people who want to represent them and the ones who already do.
Yes, and that's what broke my heart, because I tell you right now, not lying to you, I think I have about five people that I met in the community. Either they need help with a place to, a place to live, or
serious
they need to find out about the school and what happened with the school, and why they are not getting someone in the school that can help their kids that's deaf and should have somebody there to help them. They are asking me stuff about where can they find a school that deal with kids more based on autism. They're asking me about all different questions. So I took their note, because I know that those information I can answer for them, and a lot more. The community has things that they need answered to. And I don't think that this particular community, this particular North Lauderdale community, I don't think at all, from what I know canvassing, that they go out in the community. And it's all good when they go out and do a little turkey drive on Thanksgiving so they can take a picture and put on their Facebook page. And it's all good when they go and do a food drive where they can take a picture and put it on their Facebook page, and they walk the house and shake the hand, play with the babies. Those things are all good, fine. But that's not what the people need. It really isn't.
Right. And so the person who has a deaf or hard of hearing child, the Broward County School Board has an ESC advisory board. Jackie Goddard is in charge of that. Reach out to her. She's an amazing and excellent resource. I know that they've been doing some serious advocacy for the hearing community. One of the things was that, it had come up at a school board meeting where they would have like these fire drills or active shooter drills, and it was all sound based, and they didn't have anything for them to read, right? And so I know that came up at a board meeting. I believe that issue is presently being addressed and resolved, and they're supposed to put them in a school, because at one of the schools, the drill was over, but they didn't know. The class with the students that were deaf and hard of hearing didn't know, because it was an announcement that was made that they couldn't hear. So they're adding some mechanisms into the classroom to kind of, to address that, either with words or some other way to address that particular population. So all that to say that the ESC advisory committee, which I'm a part of with the Broward County School Board, has a very good chair. I mean, she's an excellent chair. If that connect that individual with Jackie, and she will help them as best she can.
My husband is an assistant principal, and he works at an all alternative school. And so another thing is speech therapy. It has to pay for speech therapy outside. And this is another grandmother. This is another grandmother. Why do I have to pay for speech therapy? They should have had that in the classroom. Why don't they?
I know that's another issue that the ESC advisory board committee is advocating on, because there's a shortage of those professionals in the school system, right? So it's not only that Broward County that has that issue. I know I've been to a few meetings where they've done presentations, and they don't have enough speech and language professionals on staff. either by contract or working through the school system at this moment. And that's why those services aren't available to all the students who need them. They are trying to do some things where they can provide it after school or on Saturdays. That is something that they're working on. But I understand that parent, that is an issue. I know the ESC advisory is dealing with it. She should contact Jackie, and also let the school board, they have them email all those school board members and let them and have her tell them exactly how that's impacting her, so they can realize how serious an issue it is, and that they can really put in more efforts, if that means finding money from somewhere to go ahead and get those people on board. But that is absolutely an issue that is being addressed, but definitely not fast enough, because it's 2 more months in school. It's like 2.5 more months and school is out. And these are services that if the student had an IEP, should have been addressed since day one of school.
And that's my, my husband kind of guided her of who to talk to and where to go. That's also a good resource for me when I need stuff, is just to ask him what and who they can contact for these kind of service. And another thing, they were arguing over by when I went over to Silver Lake, and I don't know if you know, Silver Lake sits in the neighborhood that nobody wants to go in, and I don't understand, because
what is that?
It's Silver Lake Middle.
Oh, okay, because there's a Silver Lakes Elementary near me.
Okay, Silver Lake.
There's a Silver Lakes Middle also. Okay.
Oh my God, it sits. That's where the other voting was, and it sits right in the. Is it Silver Lake? It was Silver Lake Middle, right, Laura? Or was it elementary? Silver Lake.
No, it can't be elementary, because Silver Lakes Elementary is around here.
Yeah, it's middle school. I have to just make sure I got it right. Mm-hmm. And it's I like to make sure I get things right, because I don't want anybody sending me no email or text guessing me. I want to make sure that I'm talking what I know and not, So I know that is in the worst part of North Lauderdale is over there where I know there's illegal dumping, but I don't even think for the past 10 years that anybody has ever gone over there and asked these people what they need, even the garbage. And nobody holds the landlords accountable. No one in the community, none of these the community leaders. Parents are. I write down some stuff that they wanted. The kids are playing in the street. There's a big old empty lot that they said, why can't they give our kids park to play in? Because if you go in, they have neighborhood parks, but because their kids are playing in the street, and you can come over here, girl, and I can take you over there and you can interview some of those people. But in the middle of all of that, just to show you, and I should have emailed this picture to you. In the middle of all of that, there's one house that sits there that shows what that neighborhood can look like. That shows that. And it was just, I went over, I knock on the door. So happened to be somebody that I know that works at Walmart. And I've known this guy and his family forever. I was shocked that you could see, the grass is green just on that property right there, and the rest of it just looked like. So it shows you that this is possible. You understand? It shows you this is possible. It's not because it's the landlords. And also, if you don't show that you care about these people, they're not going to show that they care about you to maintain your property. And I've been a landlord, and so I know that we have to hold. And most of these landlords, they live out of the country. Some of them don't even some of them don't live here at all. Mm-hmm. They're in other countries, and they don't care as long as they're collecting the rent. One lady was complaining to me that her rent went from, and you should see what she pays now, $1,800.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, housing in Florida is an issue. Like I may have been talking about this like a couple of weeks. I'm like, I'm ready to move to like Alabama right now, because what it costs to live in South Florida, I'm like, who's paying me to live here? Like I don't make this money. Like I don't make this money. I don't know where y'all getting these numbers from. Taxes, insurance, all of this stuff is going up. They added like $700 to my mortgage payment. I'm like, yo, I was struggling to pay the last number. Like, where y'all get this from? Another friend of mine's called. They added add 1,000 to hers, and it's because of the taxes and insurance went up on the property. Like who got a raise that allowed them to pay that much more out of their pocket every month? Like I didn't, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's something else that you have to give up, which at some point there's so many folks all right, like I have nothing else to cut. There's nothing else left for me to cut. This is just going to be rough. You know what I'm saying? For however long it's going to be. So definitely housing is an issue. Well, you know, hopefully you'll stay in this fight. You'll continue to advocate, you know, for folks. Hopefully you'll run again based on the lessons that you learned.
You know, it's my job. It's my job to continue to advocate for people. And I love advocating for people all the time. Everybody that knows that Michelle isn't. And honestly, sometimes I know that there's a lot of people that is like, okay, she's not going to follow the rules. You know, she's not one that's going to follow the rules. And I'm not going to follow rules when it continuously allowing poor people to be poorer, to live in deplorable. And so I must say no to that. No, I need to compromise. And a great leader compromise. A great leader say this and this. What can we do in the middle? That's great leadership. You don't just take for yourself. Because what I see, and I've seen Miramar. That's the city that's doing good. That's the city that's exempt. You can use that city as an example. And also, again, even though I think there's a lot of construction going on in Lauderhill, but I also seen that city just growing and growing and growing and growing.
But it's growing and it's pricing people out though. That's the part that's like, yes, you want some of that growth, but do you want the people that have been living there 50, 60, 70 years to not be able to be in the city anymore, right? People are getting priced out. Huh? Say that again.
Look at Sistrunk. Look at Sistrunk.
Yeah.
You know, Sistrunk is like that too.
I was actually on Sistrunk over the week on Sunday. Well, I don't know what today is, Sunday. There's this place called the Marketplace there. I think that's the name of it, the Marketplace. So I was over there supporting that establishment, and it was just kind of not what I expected on Sistrunk. You know what I mean?
No,
it's not the crowd I expected on Sistrunk. Take that how y'all want to take that. That ain't that ain't the crowd that I expected on Sistrunk, right? And I mean, it's all good, like when there's development, but like, what is this development doing? Is it changing the face of the community to the point where the folks who are there can't be there no more? I don't think that's what people are trying to see, right? You know, like that ain't what you want. Yes, you want to be in a safer community, but you also want the people who are native, who are like, 33311 Parkway all day, are able to stay in those communities. If you're just moving them, I don't know where they're going. I don't see that as development. That to me, that's not development. People should be able to see growth in their city, get beautiful, and great things happen there. And they also get to stay there too, to be a part of it. Since they were there the whole time roughing it, why don't they get to benefit from all the great things that are going to be happening in that city? You know,
and unfortunately,
for others.
Unfortunately, I don't see where we are getting much better, since they have a lot more of African Americans and Latins and a lot more, as you say, ethnic in the government system that was supposed to be there to also help our community. But what I don't understand, and what I can see with some of the cities, which I don't think is the way it should be going, is that, okay, I don't believe in a city that just takes on one culture. And I think that needs to stop. It really does, because this is going to continue going on and on and on. And we're saying, okay, I'm a Black person. When I get in, I'm going to take care of Black people. That's not 99% of the time.
You don't take care of people.
They take care of people.
Yeah, and so for me, take care of people, period. No matter what, who and what they are, just people, period.
Just people, period. And that's what I'm hearing over here in North Lauderdale, is that this has become, and I'm like, no, it's not even if you check and see how many white people came out to vote, all of them saying no, because the mayor thinks that this is little Haiti. And all he's doing is saying everything about Haiti. He's going to make this little city Haiti. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And this is what I'm hearing from the white folks. And they're like, no, we don't want to start this stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry that you're hearing that. But I personally believe that we should take care of everyone in the community, because if you start taking care of one, we've always known that, back in the days, there was only one culture that was being taken care of, but we don't want to continue that.
Right, because again, it really should be just people in general is what elected officials are there to serve. It's just their community, and whatever their community looks like, everyone should benefit from that. And just like this conversation that we're having, and it's so, to me, not to say that race isn't a factor, right? And race doesn't matter. But one of the things that we continue to neglect, that I think, is that people don't think about class, right? Because class is a really big thing. So even though you've gotten like a whole bunch of people of color elected, if they come from some particular socioeconomic status, they're gonna do things that's benefiting that socioeconomic status, right? And I'm not saying because you have means and stuff like that, you can't look out for poor folks. That's not what I'm saying, right? You can always have a heart of service. You can always do good, but don't get it twisted when like somebody with a whole bunch of money gets a seat and they end up doing stuff to protect they whole bunch of money and their friends that got money too, right? Like, so class is something that we tend to like not address, but it really is something that we talk about. This whole thing about there being like, and this was being discussed in the 60s about this war on poverty. There's absolutely a war on poverty in the United States, because the things that they do, there's no way what they're doing is sustainable, right? Like half the things, like the price of everything costing more, no one's making any money. They will fight tooth and nail to like not make $15 a minimum wage. They've been fighting for $15 minimum wage for like God knows how long, right? And they still won't do it. But then something happens and the bank needs to get bailed out. Like this is like 2 weeks ago. The banks need a bailout because the people who are managing the bank and the money messed up, right? They made some poor investments because they was being greedy and doing all kind of nonsense. They lost the money, but they were like, oh, we can't let the bank fail. Let's go ahead and get them $54 billion or whatever crazy amount of money it was, right? They had no problems, helping rich folks who made their bed. They're like, oh no, we can't have them lie in it because it's gonna, whatever. And then now they want to increase interest rate that again affects like poor people, right? You can find $54 billion in like a matter of hours to save a bank, but you won't give working people $15 an hour to live off when everything costs more. Every single thing costs more. Your person who said they're paying $1,800 in rent a month. Minimum, if you're making minimum wage, you might be making $1,400, $1,500 a month, and your rent is $1,800. How many people living in your house for you to do this, right? So this is the kind of stuff that we don't, for whatever reason, people don't want to talk about class. They don't want to talk about like, this real true war on poverty, and act like it doesn't matter. Yes, race matters. Race matters. It is a factor in all the things, in so many of the things that happen. But understand that a lot of this is economics too. Like, these things happen to a lot of folks because they think you're poor, that you're disenfranchised, you don't have access to information or resources, and they're going to continue to take advantage of that, right? And then they convince us to vote against our interests, right? They'll when I say there's this campaign like, oh no, we can't let the banks fail, whatever. And then you hear some poor person who ain't got damn dollar in a bank worried about a bank. You better worry about yourself and be calling your senator to try to get them to agree to at least $15 minimum wage. But you worried about a bank? No, those are rich people messing around, and then now they looking for some sort of welfare, right? Because then middle class folks and regular folks end up paying for their mistake. So they make their bed just like they ask us to, if we mismanage our money and we have to suffer some sort of consequence, they make regular poor folks suffer. Why is it that they don't suffer the same fate?
Well, one of the things that I know, I'm a problem solver. I don't really dwell on problems. I like to solve them. So the minute I'm trying to figure out in my head, what can you do? How can you do it? How do you build trust back? What do what is it that you can do? What resources can you send? Mm-hmm. This is my immediate action. What? But then they go, what do you want back? I don't want anything back. This is the problem. Everybody, they are so messed up with all of the things that people has done to them. All of these politicians have lied to them, promised them things that that's trying to help them. You can't even do that because they think that you want something from them.
Right, but what they can't not participate, right? Because this is how we end up making it worse, is that people get so discouraged and they don't want to vote, and but the other folks who are up to no good, they gonna get their people out there, they gonna vote. That you know, they gonna vote, and they gonna get enough people to vote for them, so they continue. So once you recognize that that there's a problem that needs to be solved, choosing not to vote is not the solution. That's why we in the Florida legislature right now, you know, there's a super majority of Republicans there that's passing through all kind of crazy legislation. You're just like, y'all finna do what? They're out here just doing whatever they want because people weren't voting for Democrats, you know, because they don't want to go vote because it don't matter. It matters. It matters because at least if there was not a super majority, it would have been difficult for them to pass some of the things that they're passing. Now they don't need not one Democrat to vote. They'll let them talk, run their mouth, and say whatever they want to say for the record, but it doesn't matter because they have the numbers to do whatever it is that they want. And there's some very dangerous legislation that's coming out of Tallahassee that, you know, that people aren't paying attention to. So whatever your qualms is with elected officials and all those folks, the solution is not to vote, is not to decide that I'm not voting anymore. I don't want to be a part of it. That is not the solution at all.
But
especially on a local level, because all politics are local. On a local level, never take that position to not vote.
But how do we convince them of that? And I tried it because I tell you myself,
beat that dead horse. You got to keep telling. You got to keep saying it. You got to keep saying it. You know, somebody like beat that dead horse. You gotta keep saying it. And you know, and I feel bad that you only had 7 weeks to do this. But imagine if you had the 2 years that this other person had, please, you know what I'm saying? If you got a third of the votes in 7-8 weeks, I mean, 6 months would have been enough, right? To get the people up. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what we need. Like, so we need to be more strategic, play chess, always thinking ahead. And that's how we get it out there. Because if you were able in 7 weeks to convince 100 and so people, 140, 150 people to vote for you, if you had more time, you could have convinced them more. So convince more. So don't think that your efforts were losing efforts. Just think about like, okay, I see what I did. I just got to start early. I got to drop this knowledge and these dimes early. So when 24 comes around, you know, I'll be ready and I'll have my army of folks behind me that's going to show up to the polls and vote, right? That's what you got to do. You got to keep putting that message out there. And what people like you can't stop talking, because that's what happened. Like, we just be like, you know, ain't nobody listening.
They beat us down. They try to beat us down, girl. They try to beat us down. Trust me. But I always say, if my job don't beat me down, then I don't think anything else can. I'm telling you, they do. They try to beat, and my soul gets to the point where it gets weary. And I'm like, listen, why? And it's like, because you have a big mouth, because they need people like me and you to speak up for them, because a lot of people are not going to speak up. Not a lot of brave people in the world that have, you know, there is not a lot of brave people in the world. That's why there's not a lot of rich people in the world. It takes a lot to fight for that much people, and they don't want to fight for themselves. You know, my assistant said that to me I was fighting for a client, and he goes, you know that you cannot fight for someone that doesn't want to fight for themselves. And it just hit me. Like, I have been doing all the fight, no matter what I do. I just continue. And I realize that this client is not making an effort at all because they have beat him to the ground. But I can only do so much.
But the thing is that you still keep fighting, because one of the things that I was doing something yesterday and we were talking, and I was like, just even in my profession, I could do a case for someone and the person could win. And they don't care. They probably don't care and still talk bad about me, right? So sometimes we don't get the gratitude from the person that we actually help, right? So you continue to work because somebody else can benefit from your efforts. So because you're doing something, and it's not usually just one person who needs that, it's more people who need it. So even though the individual who you think or who you're trying to give a direct benefit to, they may not want it, they may not appreciate it, but if you know that's the right thing to do and that's going to help you keep that fight up, because someone else is going to benefit from that, and you're going to get that gratitude. Not that you should do it for that, but you'll get that gratitude from somewhere else. It doesn't have to be from the person you're helping. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
never
So
from the
even
people
if
that were
he's
helping.
that individual can't understand it, can't see it, can't appreciate the vision, you know what you're doing is the right thing. You keep pressing forward on that, and someone else is going to benefit from that, and you're going to get that gratitude from a place that you least expected. So once you know you're doing the right thing, you got to keep on doing the right thing, and that's not all. That is not an easy thing to do. I get that, but we got to stay in the fight, because not doing anything is absolutely not an option. Having 7% of the people in Broward County turn out to vote in 2024, not an option. Those things can't be where we're going. That's just no. To me, that's an absolute no.
I just think that
so you got to keep pushing. Keep pushing.
Listen, there's times that I want to keep pushing, but I just feel like I'm beat up. There's times I'm just like,
no,
why
we're tired. It's okay. Take a little bit of a break, not too long, and come right back out here and fight this fight. We need you in this fight.
That fight. I'm telling you. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, I'm trying to remember a quote. I can't. Maya Angelou. She has so many beautiful quotes, but I'm trying to remember this one. And it was right after the campaign. It was so funny because I'm like, my husband was really, really like down, and so was my manager. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like, really, you're thinking about that when I'm thinking about these people are hurt. Look at this. I mean, these people didn't come out. I don't really care about, I honestly did not even think about winning or losing. I just thought, this is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
This is sad that this community has lost hope. And he's like, and then my husband's like, only you would think of something like that, honey, because I'm saying that this is something that we know you have the heart for. We know that you'd be out there. We know that. And because we know that, it hurts us. And I'm like, well, it doesn't, because it's not my time. It wasn't meant to be this time. And that's something that we have to learn to accept in life, that the things that we learn now is for a greater good. Always take something that we know out of every experience in life that I went through, every campaign that I've gone through. I've learned something more and more, that I know that I'm going to take it and it's going to get me to a better and bigger place to where I can help these people. And that's what I'm saying. So that's anything that I learned last week, Tuesday, girl, please, I learned so much. Listen, I was like, oh, so that's what they're doing. That means that Michelle started thinking, I'm going to do this. And how are you going to do this? Or are you still going to go for that? And just even looking at what a mayor does. A mayor takes care of the people. That's it. It takes care of the community. It's the same thing. A mayor takes care of the community. A mayor and a commissioner all do the same job, takes care of the community. A person in the community takes care of community. Because people are always thinking, and people, you got to let those people know out there too on your show, that these city leaders that sit in those seats, the 5 of them, all of them, they make the community think that they're doing all this work. No, they're not. They have a head of people. They have an attorney that represent them. They have a manager that represents them. They have all of the workers there that represent them.
Aides, advisory boards. It's a team effort.
So everything you see them doing, they didn't do that. They people
not by themselves. Not by themselves.
No, they make decisions, and they take the decisions to them, and they'll make certain decisions. But the city stays the way it is because of leadership. Leadership with the people within, not leadership with just the 5 people that sit on that board.
Right.
And it's something that people needs to know. And it's so they always use that for their campaign. Look at what I did for the city. Look what I did.
Look at what we did for the city.
Exactly. Right. Look what we did for the city. Look what these workers, the one that are cleaning the city. Look at these people that are doing all these things that make this city runs. And you're saying, look what I did for the city. So this is where we are. And I'm really in my head. I'm thinking I'm getting too old, but people are, girl, you too.
Now you got to keep this fight up, or at least motivate somebody else to continue to fight for you.
There you go.
And I think at the very least, that's what you did. Maybe you don't want to be on the front line of stuff. You want to just help somebody. All the lessons that you've learned, give that information to someone else so they can have a better strategy and play a great chess game the next time, and they can win their seat too. And sometimes, people are like, well, why wouldn't, they ask me, why would I run for office? Yeah, that is not my ministry. And I understand that. Right. But I've learned enough just from speaking with candidates, doing some stuff with them behind the scenes. Like if somebody wants to run, come talk. I got some stuff I can tell you, right? I can impart my knowledge, whatever. I don't need to be the face of any of that. I can definitely provide the knowledge and information. And that, that might be what your ministry is. Like, this was something for you to get some knowledge, learn some experience, because I learned best from my mistakes. Lord, I don't need to make no more. I'm just saying, I don't need to make no more. But I really do learn best from mine.
I don't even think about you calling them mistakes. I don't. Years ago, I stopped saying that. I think they're just experience. Their experience that makes you this person that's sitting there right now. Even the painful experience that you go through in life. I tell my son that all the time. What did you learn from it? The only time that this is a mistake is when you come out of it not learning not one damn thing.
Not one thing.
What I always say.
Those experiences, some will say it this way. So the experiences that didn't turn out the way I thought they would, I learned a lot from them. Those are not the outcomes I was looking for when I entered that interaction or whatever. And, they didn't turn out the way I expected, but I definitely learned, I learned from things turning out a different way. Right. So please stay in the fight. Please stay in the fight. And if it's just like, on more on behind the scenes, giving people information, encouraging others to do this, because this is absolutely doable. When you told me the number, right, I was like, some 18-year-old can make sure his whole senior class registers to vote, run for office, and win. You understand?
Yes.
You're like that right there. He'd be like, I need all y'all to register because this election is happening on this day. All the 18-year-olds come out and vote for this. They could have like a social media campaign and end up with a whole job out of it, right? Because in an election like that, when you have those kind of numbers, and folks who are running need to really think about that, because when these kids realize that they can hold all this power with 239 votes, they gonna have some problems. My bonus son, he was up for athlete of the week or something like that, and then you get votes with the newspaper, they vote for you, and who gets the most votes get it. He had more votes than that. I'm just telling you, him and the girl who actually won, her votes was like in the tens of thousands. Like, did she, they did allow you to vote more than once, but she still had to have a team of people there doing that in order for her to get those kind of votes. So people who are winning seats with 250, y'all better hope and pray some 18-year-old senior don't get all his 18-year-old classmates, him or her, their 18-year-old classmates to go and register and then go vote for them, because
they're doing that now. They're doing it.
I'm telling you, y'all better watch out, because
I personally
not gonna be playing with y'all in a minute.
I personally felt really, I honestly felt really sad for the lady I ran against. I honestly felt sad because I'm like, oh my God, all that work you did, all that work you guys did.
How much work was it really? You could have been running for 2 years, but if that was a sustained 2-year effort of working and that's all you got out of it, I mean, yes, you did win, but if that's all that came out of it, I don't know, man.
That's what makes it sad, because that's all. And I got all the parties that was thrown, because people was like, oh girl, they having a party over here with this, they having a block party with this, they having this and this, and this happened last night. And even the community that was telling me all the different things that they did, and I'm like, I was sad for that you can be out there as a supporter of also the mayor, and the mayor and his wife can be out there, and this is all you got as a mayor to have this woman vote in. That's sad.
Yeah.
And it's going to be because I'm bitter and because I didn't win. The psychology thing they use on people.
That is disheartening.
Listen, girl, that's to studying narcissistic behavior for 5 years at Kaiser University in my master's degree. I know how they think. So that does not intimidate me. And that don't even work. It's being a mother. That's being a mother and understanding that kids are smart. They use things. It's not even that master's degree. It's being a mother and knowing that. All of it, no. I was embarrassed of it. I always tell my son, don't let people intimidate you of not saying what you're feeling, because they will. They turn it around. They flip it on you. And when they flip it on you, you feel like you're doing something wrong. You're not. You speak your mind and you get it off and don't give a damn what people think.
So Ms. Chin found that Maya Angelou quote for you. And she says it's like, if you're for the right thing, you do it without thinking. Maya Angelou.
Do it without thinking.
Yes.
If you're for the right thing, you do it without thinking. And I'm always doing things without thinking about it, like Michelle. just go. My idea all the time is to try to, I'm like, you're not God. You can only do so much. And sometimes I have to remind myself, you are not God. You can't fix everyone. You can't fix everything. You're just a part of this. This is what you can do. Do your part of it and stop trying to fix the whole community. Stop trying to fix. Just take your time to do exactly what you're doing every day, little by little. There's not a day that I get up that I don't change someone's life. Not one day.
Amen. That's what's up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking about this. We definitely have to do this again. So what are your last words? I'll give you the final words on this segment. And again, thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
My last word is to all the listening out there that probably thinking that this honest to God truth, this campaign was such an inspiration for me. It inspired me to even jump, to level jump. Just put it that way. It inspires me to just level jump because I'm seeing the sadness in there and I'm seeing that. And don't let people tell you nothing. Can't nobody get in here. This here is powerful. Don't let anybody get in there because that's what we keep doing. We'll let people get in here. And once they get in there, they control us. And that's it. So don't let anybody get in here. That's it. See you.
All right. Thank you. Keep fighting a good fight. Keep fighting a good fight, everybody.
Thanks for having me on. And
Anytime.
Please talk about this more. Talk about this more and more and more.
Absolutely.
All right?
We're going to keep fighting a good fight.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm not the techie person. I don't got no outro video for y'all tonight. So see you next week. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.